right, Bear. It is go time. Hey, everybody. Kevin, Bear, and Nathan. How you guys doing? Can you hear me okay? Is the music good? Hey, Chris. It's starting to get a little chilly in my garage here. Hi, Sven. I'm going to close the door real quick. I'll be right back. Got the rest of the house moving around over there. From Taiwan. Awesome. So today, we're going to install a Klicky probe on the Trident here. So I've been wanting to try one of these for a very long time. I just haven't fitted into the project. Into the project flow. So I spent the last week or so preparing, and I installed one as kind of a prep on the purple Trident, so I don't completely flounder today, and we'll get it done. Hi Jeff, welcome to the stream. G Funny Money, good morning. Got Hendrik, Tony, and Chris, and Squirrel Brain, hello. So hey, Bo. Glad you're slowly getting your switch wire in shape. So let's start with what are we doing? We are installing a Klicky probe. So a Klicky probe is a magnetic dockable micro switch based Z probe. There's a dock that mounts at the back of the printer. There's a shuttle, kind of a, I don't know what they call it, the probe, that attaches to the dock with a magnet, but there's also a mount on the tool head that has magnets that can grab this and then go around and probe the points on your bed. So the particular one, there's several versions out there. Hey Jesper and Jim. The particular one we're going to do today is Klicky probe, and I'm a little confused. I couldn't quite decipher who to give credit here. So we have this user JLAS1. There's also a let me see if I can find it. There's another user who has basically the same content, but they refer to each other in their page. For instance, if I go to the Voron users GitHub, I think it's under a different. So let's go to the printer mods and search for Klicky. Yeah, this JOSAR person. It's, oops, I clicked the change, not the. So I'm not quite clear. So hopefully maybe by talking about both of them, I'm covering the attribution here. Good morning, Astro Dreamweaver, DJ Natty. So it seems that the JLAS1 documentation is a little more complete, maybe a little more up to date. So we're going to go through here. The project will consist of some printed parts, and there is some explanation here on the different options for the docks. I am going to be using just the fixed dock mounted to the gantry. All the parts come oriented in the correct print orientation. And then there's a few things, magnets, screws, and stuff that we'll go through and figure out. So I printed some parts. We have and I printed all these in the graphite, KVB graphite main color, and I think this is Paramount Silver for the accent. So this is the dock. There is an accent piece that bolts to the front of that, a couple of heat set inserts. This sits at the back of the printer, and then the probe has a magnet on the back of it, and it sets in here and gets held in place when it's not being used. Then the tool head can come around, and this piece replaces like your inductive probe on the tool head. It can come around, and it has magnets in it, and can grab this and then go around and do its probe. So we're going to start by assembling most of the dock pieces before we take the printer apart. So where are we at? Sven, I would just go with as reasonable quality a switch as you can get. I think even the generic ones are okay. Omron is just a good, reliable brand. You can run the, the probe accuracy scripts. Click probe mating. Don't forget to add the Z calibration. So, Borden Writer, I have questions about the Z calibration. So we're going to go over installing it. I'm not quite clear on the workflow with it, so maybe you guys can help me. I did install it. I read through the documentation on how to actually use it. I probably need a little help there. And you guys we'll cover that when we get there. It's mostly in the software configuration for the Z calibration. Yeah, so for the Clicky, a lot of these, there are user mods, if not included in this repo here for STLs, which this is mostly the they mostly focus on the Voron 1.8 so far, and Voron 2, but we'll go through the very minor modification I did or changed in the configuration to make it happy with the Trident. It's just commenting out some stuff because you don't need the bed screws adjust feature. So okay. So I think I'm going to actually, let's switch back. I'm sorry for bouncing screens. They've got some documentation here. Now I just kind of assembled this the other day for the other printer, but let's go through what did they say? What is our first step? We're going to set up the dock mount. So we're going to put in a couple of heat sets, grab a couple of fasteners, put in a magnet, and that. So we're going to go with that. So we're going to grab this. I'm going to grab a couple of heat sets. I think these are the only two heat sets I'm going to need. Switch out for my insert tool. Oh, Chris, when I was talking about modified, there was a configuration modification. I don't think there's any modifications needed for these parts. Now, I was talking to Eddie, and he had a little easier magnet fitment when he used hex holes for the magnets. So that is a little different part, but I don't know that it's necessary. Just full disclosure, that is a slight change that are on these parts. Hey, Sanity. Hey, Aster. Yep. Hey, you can't be serious. What are you What were you watching? You watching the Trident build or? Okay. Oop. Where did my glasses go? Can't have a build without the 5x magnifiers. Trident build. You can't be serious. Hope you're enjoying it. Those were my very early streams. Started a little rough, but I'm hoping I'm getting a little bit of a stride in how I'm set up. I can. Nathan, I will raise the volume just a little bit. Let me know if that's too much. Okay, heat set inserts in. We need, what size screws did it say we need here? It doesn't say 2M, there's the M5s, but it doesn't say what we need for the others. Okay, let me grab a selection of screws. Looks like by 20s. In case we need them again. Grab a couple of magnets and the super glue. I don't know if it's going to be better to use super glue for these or epoxy, but we're going to use super glue today. And we're also going to kind of try to do some level of getting fingerprints off the magnets before I glue them in place. I know it's not going to be able to be perfect, but it's some rubbing alcohol and at least clean them a little bit. We want to maximize or minimize the chance of any of these magnets coming loose over time. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these. Not touch these front surfaces as best I can without having gloves. I printed extra parts here, so just in case. So I'll just put those over there. Just a dab of glue in the bottom of this. There we go. And the orientation of these magnets doesn't really matter. I've got a little bench vise. I'm just going to make sure these are all seated. So for this dock magnet, the orientation doesn't matter, but they have a suggestion on the other ones that we'll get to. Where are we at? There we go. So then that just holds it in place so the probe doesn't fall out. Okay. So then we're going to start on the probe assembly. Okay, so this can go on here and get bolted to the dock mount. Let's see. Eastern Grand also needs to check something. Yeah, those I tried. So I think Chad is talking about my early Trident builds. I was really trying to do it as more of a hangout and chat with other people, and everybody can be heard. But I quickly realized that it's just not going to work for a broader audience. It's probably great for the people that are participating, but anybody who wants to go out and view this content later or refer back to it, I can see it getting pretty tedious pretty quick. So, Sanity, are Prusa XL questions banned for now, or how come nobody's asking on your opinion? Yeah, nobody's asked at all. They're not banned. We can talk about it. I don't have a whole lot to say. I think a lot of stuff is really cool. I very much enjoyed my Mark IIIs. I've had 2 of them. Those are the only Prusas I've owned. I didn't buy a Mini. I think I'd like to see what actually gets delivered for the XL and how it works. I think everything is a lot of innovation. The bed is really cool. The tool head with the cycloidal drive. We'll see. I think the bigger concern is how long is it going to take, and not necessarily through any fault of Prusa's, but supply constraints and stuff. It's going to make this difficult, especially for the number of orders they have. Chris, I won't be pre-ordering an XL. I'll probably just watch from the sidelines on that one. Hi, John. Okay, sorry. I need to get going on here. So we're gonna put the probe together, is what it says. So let's go through those instructions real quick. We've got a micro switch, a couple of self tappers, a few magnets. Yeah, I was watching Nero's stream last night, and that was fun to see. It'll be cool seeing him go over and build and try that printer. A tool changer would be awesome to have. I just don't have the physical space for something like that, and it's a chunk of change to put out for a printer. So let's see. So we're gonna put these things together, and then we've got a magnet. So they're the only steps in here to pay attention to is they have the tip. You want to install the magnets in a way that the 2 which are connected to the micro switch have the same polarity, and the third magnet should have the inverse. And I think this is because of the way it docks and it slides in from the side. It helps it work better. Okay, and there's no need for soldering. So I want to address something real quick. I had talked about my views on the magnetically attached probes and that wire to magnet connection. My concerns about the long-term viability of that connection, not being a solid or a soldered or whatever connection. And something I want to admit I didn't really think about, which I should have, is we're using all of these in a normally closed configuration. The very worst thing that'll happen is it'll detect triggered and stop. So that was just me not not making all the connections. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better about these types of things. So we're gonna go for it. Yeah, John, there's no soldering involved in this build. Okay, so the micro switch goes in here, and there is on the printed part a little modeled in arrow, and that points to the actual trigger point on the switch, which we're going to take this lever off. So I'm going to take some needle nose pliers and just gently squeeze that and pull that little lever off. So, and then there are very fine holes here for the leads on the switch. The instructions say if the switch doesn't push through, that you can open those up with a 1.5 millimeter drill bit, but that pushed through. So that the trigger point on the switch goes to the arrow, and then a couple of self-tapping screws to hold the switch on. I think my biggest disappointment with the Prusa XL, so my biggest disappointment is that they won't have a 300 millimeter build volume available, because I really wanted to buy their textured surface for my 300 builds. Okay, you guys can probably hear Charlie. He wants out. So we get to play that game for a while. We'll have Charlie give us a visit here in a while, but he's got to play the asked to be let in, asked to be let out game for a while. Okay, so that's screwed in. The magnets will, so the connection here is made by the magnets pressing in, and I don't know if you can see the terminals from the switch are right there. So you press the magnets in past that, and then we'll check them with a multimeter to make sure we're getting conductivity, and then we're good. So I am going to take 2 pairs of these and put them in first. What do we got? There is, oh, here's something else. In one of these repos, there are some helpers, some jigs. I didn't make these jigs, but I printed them. And what this is so you can put the part in and have a flat surface to use in your vise to press these magnets in. So let's get this ready. So we're using super glue here. We're going to press in the magnets on this side first, and then we'll press it all into the other one. So let's clean these magnets. I don't know how effective this little cleaning is doing, but I'm hoping it's good practice. And I'm only bothering with the one surface. Oh, here's the other thing I did before. I want to make sure. So, depending on your print quality and how well your printer's bridging, these are bridges on the bottom side because this prints that surface down. Make sure that you don't have any bits of filament drooping down that's going to keep that magnet from fully inserting into the part. So I didn't have anything on these, so I'm just taking the end of the screwdriver and just kind of scraping across to make sure everything is flat on the bottom of that part. Okay, let's glue these in and get moving. I'm not putting a lot of glue here, just enough, hopefully, to help put those in. Now the first one doesn't really matter what way I put that in. And I think I'm going to have to do these one at a time because oh shoot. Got super glue on the Okay, I'm getting super glue on my fingers and on everything. Try to keep it off the parts. There we go. Okay. This one cleaned and the other way. So I'm comparing the, that's gonna go in right like that. Now I'm gluing everything together. Hopefully. There we go. Okay. That was a little more challenging than I expected. Let's clean this side off. And then we can put those in the oh, we'll have to prep this side. No glue holding things together that aren't supposed to be held together. And the magnets are in there straight. Mo, it's a bad idea to heat up magnets, especially to that point of melting them into the plastic, because they're, what is it, the Curie temperature, which is the temperature at which a magnet will lose its magnetism. You would damage the magnets and weaken them permanently. You can't be serious. Yeah, that the car that's visible there is a B64D, a team associated B64. I do recall all of those RC cars you listed. Hi, John Klopp. How you doing? Yeah, this is a pan of ice. It's a handy little desk vise. It has a suction mount. Which way does it go? There we go. So it can, but I don't really need it to do that. Okay, let's keep moving. So let's go ahead and glue that third one in so we can do all of the other ones at once. So let's take these off because we don't really need those right now. clean one of these. Put some glue. You know, to be honest, who is that? Board. I did the same on my purple build over there, so we'll see if I have any trouble with it long term. But for this build, I really want to try to lead by example, do things right in terms of assembly. Okay, so that's sticks to that magnet. So now I need to flip it over to go into that other pocket. There we go. And then press it in. So then it's in the opposite polarity of the other two. And that should go, that. Yep, okay. So that's per the instructions. These two are the same polarity, and the third one in the back middle is the opposite. That piece is done. Let's go to the instructions. And we're going to prep this part, the AB mount assembly. So we're going to need some wires, and I'm just going to use some scrap PTFE wire I have from remnants from other projects. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's going to be more than enough wire. So we're just going to cut this in half. And we'll cut it to length when we install it on the printer. So I'm going to strip off about, does it say how much to strip? I was just going to go about 10 millimeters. Yeah. Maybe not even quite that much. Okay. So what we have is we have a printed part, and maybe I can, it'll be easier if I use this camera. Okay. As long as we can get this thing to focus. So we have a printed part with where the magnets go, the 3 magnets. Then there's a wire path here, and if you look down in here, there's another, so you can loop that wire through here and then out here to exit. So here, I'm going to twist the end of this wire just so I don't have to deal with the frayed end. I'm going to put that through this spot so it comes out, and then we're going to loop the other end through. Kind of hold things in place. Now you want this to be such that, pull this through such that you get the exposed wire here is going to press against the side of the magnet. Hey Nirq. Hi James. So that's what's going to create that connection. And now if you take the other end here and just kind of bend it over, things will hold mostly in place while you get the other one going. So let me do that real quick. see that. We've got exposed wires where the magnets are going to go. And then all of this goes into this little printed part helper. Oops, I'm going to bend this into... There we go. Is that correct? Yeah. So now we've got this, so we have something to press against with the vise. And we're going to press this whole thing because we're going to put the magnets on this side and then just press them in on this side. There we go. So let's prep a bunch of magnets. 3. That's not a bad idea to put that zip tie on, but that's okay. Oh, actually, I don't need to clean these yet. Let's put them on. And one more. And then clean it. There we go. Okay, so we have that. And then we'll need a little bit of super glue in those, and then we will clamp it together. So, Mo, you asked, do we need to cover the ends with solder? In general, you don't want to solder or tin a wire that's going to be under pressure, because over time solder will flow, will creep. This is why you don't tin wires when you put them in a power supply connection. You use the little ferrules instead, because over time that solder will get pressed out of the way and result in a loose connection. Yeah, so I already checked. So Q-Pady, welcome to the stream first. I already checked to make sure the magnets are all, and I just touched it. The magnets are all in the correct orientation. So I'm going to put some glue on this. We're going to clamp it together, and this part of the assembly will be pretty much done. Once again, I checked my bridging on this part, and everything is clean, so I won't have any obstructions to keep these magnets from going all the way into the part. I'm not getting any super glue on those wires, although I'm not sure it would matter. And now this is just going to go on like this, and I can press, kind of start it by hand. You could just press this against the desk, but that's good solid pressure on anything. These printed jigs really help. I obviously, you guys know I'm a fan of jigs. I was pleased to see these. However, the orientation that they give on this part, I feel, is upside down. I flipped it over in the slicer. I haven't mentioned it to anybody that it could potentially need to be fixed, but there we go. So now this, and that is a strong connection. Okay, now you end up with those little strands of wire at the top. I just take my flush cutters, the remnants of the wiring. You could leave them there. They're not going to short out on anything as long as you don't have them too long. But I'm just going to cut them Cut them flush. And then there is a zip tie, a zip tie slot right there, so we're going to utilize that. Excuse me, I've had a little bit of an allergy issue this week, so my throat is a little raw. So I'm going to have to drink a whole lot more than usual. Okay, a little zip tie here. Just control those wires, and then we can move on to prepping the printer. Yeah, that's correct, James. Replacing the connection on in any Creality printer, because every one I've seen, they tin the ends of the connections into the power supply and into the board. Into the board, at least. Okay. That turned out better than my other one. I think I have a different height, because all these magnets, that's something that if you really wanted to take the extra step, make sure all your magnets that you're going to use in your assembly are the same height. If you usually buy these in packs of many, like 50 or 100, make sure they're all the same height, because if one of them is off, then you're going to end up with a tilted probe here. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, if at all. I know on my purple one, the back magnet either sits in the part a little deeper, or the magnet heights are different, and it's tilted like, I mean, this is exaggerated, but it's tilted like this a little bit. But it still seems to work okay. Chris, thanks for the reminder. We are going to continuity check these to make sure our connections are good. This is a normally closed switch, so as it is right now, we should get continuity. So I'm just going to go to these ends of the wires here, and we are getting it. When you push on the switch, it turns off. Awesome. Thanks for the reminder. Shorted MOSFET is a fact of life for us. I've seen 2 runaway hot ends on Discord in the last month. Berserkadirk. I mean, it can happen. I have 10 printers. I've been fortunate not to have it happen yet. But it's something that you should probably, I mean, you should always monitor your printers. Generally use them while you're around. Okay. Let's shut down the printer. And since I have this fancy touchscreen, I can do it right here. System shut down. Continue. We're going to need a couple of M5 T-nuts. A couple of M5 by 10 bolts. Okay. And turn it off. Let's make some room here. I think I'm done with the vise. those. No, I'm not done with those, but I can grab them again. Part of the setup will be locating where the dock is on the back of the printer. So where we put it right now isn't important. I think that view is going to be the best we're gonna get anyway. Let's just insert a couple of, oops. T-nuts. Yeah. There we go. Where's my other? I'm missing a wrench. There it is. Just gonna put it right there. And I'll give you a better shot of this with the other camera here in a second. So right there off to the side in the back. I'm putting it on the left side because I don't want the tool head going across it as it goes to home. Every time I want it to have to move over away from the Z end stop switch, which is right here, to get to the dock. And this position will set up when we set up the software. So, and then this thing, when the printer isn't, oops, the dock just sits there. The probe just sits there docked under normal. Hey James, I think I'm at 10. I think I'm at 10 right now, but one of them I'm not going to keep. The switch wire I built on stream is going to be given away. Hi Alexander. Okay, so the dock's on. Now let's get the tool head apart. We have to take a lot of the tool head apart to... I don't know if I can get any great shot. Let's see. Take the wire cover off. I think this is probably going to be better. Okay, so the fan assembly is off. Tool head has to come off. Thanks, you can't be serious. I try. Okay, so we're going to replace the inductive probe here, the Omron probe. So we're just going to... Oh, we actually have to take the... We have to take the... everything apart. That's right. So we're gonna move the. Where are we going? Go somewhere where we can get to the back screws on the afterburner. We may have to. I can't get. Maybe I can squeeze through this way. There's one. Oh wow, I found that other one blind without too much trouble. Putting it back together will be fun. Okay, so we can just move that off to the side. Omron probe comes out. There's that. It's going to go away. I'm going to take this and kind of set it in here. Kind of get a gauge on how long I want my wires to be. This is going to set all the way up against the bottom of the X carriage. If the tool head moves right to disengage the Clicky, will it not hit the lead screw? Looks like it is too close from the view angle. It will not. The tool head doesn't hit the lead screw, and it's far enough forward. It can't. It's just perspective, I think. In the middle of the 2.4 build, and I'm seriously considering putting a Clicky on it as well. Clicky probes. So I'm just doing this to try it. I'm not necessarily having problems with the inductive probe, but it's something to build. I think I'm just going to go about. How long was this? Because this should be about the same. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go right to the end here, and I can loop the wires around if I want. So I'm gonna crimp a couple of microfit terminals on here and put a 3-pin connector. 3-pin just because I don't want to change the one that's already over here. Microfit boxes. This will be that side, which means we'll need that terminal. Can't see. You know what? That'll be fine. So the printer is wired with a Linneo harness. All the wiring is intended to have the inductive probe, so that's why I have a 3-pin connector that I'm going to interface to. The wires I want are going to be replace the black and blue wires. So on the connector we have here, I'm going to use the top 2 terminals on this 3-pin connector. pretty sure I can confirm that based on what I did on the... Yeah, that's what I did over there. So, and then I'm going to just take this and I'm just going to put a couple of twists in the wire, just so I like doing that because only to control the wires, so I don't have one wire sticking out and going off in its own direction. Okay, so now let's move this forward and mount this thing in place. I think it's, I wonder if they tell us what size screws to use. So we did the AB mount assembly. We tested to make sure we have a connection. We press fit everything together. They're saying 2 M3x8, and I think that's what I remember using on the others, so. See if I can get this held in the back. There we go. There we go. So once again, the bottom of this should just be pressed all the way up against the bottom of the X-frame. Now I think there's a user mod out there that has all these magnets and everything built into this, but this seems a little more flexible and probably a little more comfortable being able to replace this if I need to, instead of the whole thing. I've not tried any of the mods, any of the alternate ways of mounting all this, but okay, let's put our extra belt loops back into place. That goes over there, and we can put the LGX mount back in place and see if I can find those screw heads again. More difficult while I'm having to hold it in place. There we go. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. There we go. So we're doing a lot of, I mean, this whole printer, there's I guess there aren't too many mods. I'm doing an LGX, I did the ABBN cooling, and now we're doing a Klicky probe. This is just fun stuff. The printer, as it comes, as the files are out there, will get you a well-working printer. So don't feel like you have to do any of this. You will get a printer that will print very well, following exactly the sourcing guide, the instructions as we have. But at the same time, this kind of stuff is fun. So have fun with it, but don't feel like you need to. Hi DeWitt, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so we're gonna get all these connections. Let's get the probe connection. And I think this one might allow things to fit under that cover a little better. There's not as much of this thick probe wiring. So that might be nice. I had the probe wire tucked in the behind the tool head before to keep things clean. Okay, now I gotta read these labels. Make sure I get the fans plugged in the right direction. Hot fan, that's this one. Okay. Bending wires and bending wires to my will. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, I got one more connector in there now. So the only connector outside of the assembly is the stepper. There we go. Okay. With that, the physical install is done. So let's power up the printer. You're right, Sven. Last stream we installed the MRW match tight kinematic mount. I forgot about that one. Hey Golden Jaguar, welcome to the stream. Okay, so let's switch over to the stream, and I want to do a quick check. Let's reconnect. Why aren't we connecting? There we are. I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to query my end stops. And right now the probe is triggered, which is what we want to see. So the probe is not connected to the mount on the tool head. So it's showing as triggered because this is a normally closed switch. If I mount, oh, okay. I just caused the printer to reset. Which means I had my wires screwed up. I just reset the printer. Which means I did not have the correct wires. What did I do? It should be the same as the other printer. I hope I didn't burn something up. It came back up, but it should not have reset when I put the probe on. So we need to figure that out. It should not have reset. And why would it do that? What is the... I always have to look this up. Maybe someone can help. What is the pinout on the Omron probe? Is it listed on here? Is it actually printed on here? Okay. So brown is 10 to 30 volts DC. Blue is ground. And black is signal. I am backwards. Why did it work on the... Because I mimicked what I did on the other printer. I need to investigate that one more. But I put it on the wrong 2 pins. Blue is ground, basically, and black is the signal. Brown would be voltage in, which is usually 24 volts. Yeah, Andy, these probes, I don't know what the wire color is based on, but all of them are like this. So that's why it's very, you have to be careful. And DJ Natty, I'm pretty sure the Bat 85 diode is integrated into this harness, so it's still there. So we'll find out. Yeah, Charlie wants out again. We're playing that game. Does anybody confirm what I just said? I think well, I guess it's red. It's red here. So I want to cover, and I just put it on the wrong 2 pins. So do I have to take this all apart to fix that? Probably. So let's shut down the printer. Let's shut down. I'm really curious why that same pinout, because I was just basically just mimicking what I did on the other printer. DJ Natty, it will still work with the Bat 85 diode in place, fortunately. So I don't need to remove that. At least in my configuration where I use the ZN stop still port. I'm not using the probe port as recommended by Linneo for their harness. Okay. So according to this, and let's see if I can get enough. According to this, I did short out the brown wire and the blue wire. So I need to change this. I need to depin the microfit, which let's see if I can get a reasonable view on this. I don't know if I can, but we can try. That better? Maybe. Okay, so I have, and so on one of my earlier streams, I showed how I use a little sewing pin to depin these microfits. Since then, I've actually bought the Molex tool. This guy right here. And it admittedly is way better. Now, people say these don't last very long. So for the $18 or $20 it cost, it's pretty expensive for something that doesn't last long. But I'm wondering if people aren't quite using it as intended. This is a very thin piece of metal at the end. The intent is that you, and I don't like the lighting here. Maybe I can do something like this. Diffuse that lighting a little bit. Does that help? Or does that make it worse? That made it worse. The idea is that you need to get in beside the pin and then push the little tang in. And I think most people are probably pushing this in beside there and then pulling either side on that, where I think the intent is you twist, because that will push that tang in, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. And then the terminal takes a couple of, let me get my glasses on so I can actually see what I'm doing. It doesn't take a lot to pull out. And there it is. Very little stress on the tool. And then I'm going to take just I like using the edge of the sharp side of an X-Acto knife to get in there and just kind of barely pry those tangs back into place. And you only get once or twice of doing this. And then I can insert that into the other side of the connector. And I'm going to hold this one up here to make sure I've got the right one. I think I want that one right there. What do you think? You don't use a 24 volt, just probe input and ground. Yeah, okay. So that worked out pretty well. I've reconfigured that connector. I'm going to triple check here. I don't want to have to do this again. We're going to call it. And I'm going to have to off stream figure out what I did on the other printer that it works. That come from? Aster, this is the official Molex tool for Microfit 3. So I don't know if there are other, I mean, I'm sure they probably have a unique tool for every connector they have, because why not? If they can sell you a tool for a connector, well, they're not looking to sell us tools to connectors. They're looking to sell businesses that need to be efficient, need to be consistent. Okay, so the lesson there is triple check that your connections are correct when you're retrofitting something like this. So let's see. Let's see if I did any permanent damage. Just going to move the bed down a little bit so I get a little easier access to this. Let's reconnect. Go back to our query our end stops. As it should be, it's triggered. So, moment of truth here. There we go. Now, let's query it. And it's I gotta invert it. It should show. Oh no, that's right. It's correct. So now when I click it, it's triggered. Unclick it. It's open. Yep. Near queue. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Okay, let's go back to their instructions. So now we have to do the clipper configuration. So they have some, there's a couple of requirements. You have to have a bed mesh defined, and you have to have your probe, so you want to make sure that your probe pin, which we didn't change. I'm using the same probe pin. So, and then we need to change our offsets for the probe because it's different. It's slightly different from the other. So let me take this thing off and put it back on its dock. And we have to set up the dock and undock macro. So if we go up here, back to the files in the repo, we go to Clipper macros. We're going to download for this, we're going to download the Clicky probe for v1.8. And we're going to raw. We're going to save this. I think I have we're just going to save it right here. And we're going to rename this guy. Trident. We're going to change it. So let's get that. And let me let Charlie out. And then we're going to download the Z Calibration because we'll end up using this later. At least set it up. Like I said, I need some clarification on how to use that. All. Hey, board writer, I don't think so. I think as long as my end stop is showing correct here. Now, if this wasn't showing correct, then I would have a problem. But it's showing triggered right now. It's not on, but when I was testing it with the probe in place and pushing the actuator in, it was behaving correctly. So I think I'm okay with the particular configuration that I have here. I mean, this is why we do this. We check this in the interface, is make sure things are behaving as you expect. And this is behaving as I expect. So, okay, so let's go into our machine and I'm going to delete a bunch of these backups, because I don't want to have to switch between pages on this screen, and I don't need them. So we're going to upload those two files. This and this. Will it let us do two files at once? Yes, it will. And we're going to go into this file. So this is our config file for the probe. Board and writer, that'll affect the accuracy? I don't get that. Okay, well let's check that. Let's learn something here. Anyway, let's go back to this. So this is where we're going to set some of the positions, all the configuration. We're not going to not going to touch that yet. Let's go here, and we're going to home. So if we home all, we're going to get, yeah, we'll be okay. Let's go. Let's home all. So what I'm doing this for is I'm next going to move the tool head around to get my position of the dock. I'm just going to do it on the screen here, and we're just going to move in whatever increment. And I'm going to mostly eyeball this. Let's move Z. Out of the way, just so I can get in there and that should be about right. And then we're going to move Y. And our Y is going to basically be, I think, basically going to be our Y max. I'm exceeding move out of range before I get there. Where is our Y max on? Oh, I'm at actual Y max, and it's not. I see something. It still docks, but it doesn't sit forward, quite forward enough. I feel like the dock needs to come forward about 2 millimeters. What do we got? The tool holder sits, or the dock sits behind the bed. On my purple Trident that I set this up on before, it basically lined up perfect at Y max was right in the correct spot to dock the tool, but I'm not quite sure why would this be different, because I'm at maximum travel here. I can't go any further in Y, and it doesn't line up. However, it does properly grab it. I've got the tool, and it does leave it behind. So we're gonna go for it. I want to move. I need to move X that far, maybe that far. Okay, that's about the perfect X location. Y could be a little more, but it physically doesn't have room to move more, so maybe one of the variable, the adjustable docks would be useful. Sorry, I don't mean to. Here, let's do this. So as it is, there really isn't any room for this to go. I mean, I could get maybe 1 millimeter out of it, but I can't get the 2 or 3 that I need. But I think it'll work. As it is. Like I said, if you go to this page, there are alternate. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I got this handled. Anyway, if you go here to the mounting options, there's a adjustable one. There's ones to mount it off to the side, but what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to add about 2 millimeters worth of spacers in between this piece and this piece. Let's disable the motors, get this out of the way. Unscrew this. So this is that whole dock assembly. I'm just going to add some spacers behind this to move that whole dock out a couple of millimeters and call it good. Yep. These are 1/2 millimeter, about 1/2 millimeter each. So I'm just going to add 4 to each side. I've still got just enough threads, I think, to I hope I don't drop the whole thing. As I try to put it on. There we go. Okay, let's try that. Let's home all. Move. I failed to record what it was set to last time, so. Let's just go to our max. Yeah, that's better. Now we're gonna what's going on? Okay, so that should be our position. Our position Y is 256. Our position X is right at 50. 50.0. Okay. So if we go to our config here and go to the Clicky probe, and we need to set this Z end stop, but our dock location here is what we're setting. So our X dock location is 50. And our Y dock location is 256. It is a gantry mount, so we're going to leave this minus 128. And I'm going to save and close this. And let Charlie in. And we're going to go to our, is it in printer config? My Z end stop is X146, Y256. So let's go back here. And this one right here was 146. This is the Z end stop position. $256. We are what goes down with the gantry, bed or gantry or bed. Variable max bed Y. Maximum bed size avoids doing a probe accuracy outside of the bed. Okay. That's fine. I mean, my build surface is less than that, but the bed will at least trigger it. I think that's it. So let's save and close. Actually, let's go back back into here. Let's copy this name. And then in printer config, before the macros, or right here, we're going to include that file. Oh, Charlie wants attention, so I guess we get a little Charlie break. Yes? He hasn't had nearly enough attention today. Hi 69 Pendolo. We're just installing Clicky. We're at the software part of it. You can't be serious. This is a, for at least here in the States, a normal kitchen countertop that I mounted to a frame and put some drawers in. So I think it's 20 inches? 24 inches. And then I have a little shelf up there that's a few inches deep. DeWitt, I am slightly allergic to cats. I get like itchy eyes, like the tear ducts in my eyes start itching if I don't take my daily allergy pill. Whoa! Oh, come on back up here, Charlie. Took a little spill, landed on your feet. I do enjoy these counters. I've been using for many years. I built another one recently. This is an 8-foot bench. This one's 4 feet. So I needed room for more printers, so I had a 6-foot bench over here. So I added a couple of feet. He is in constant need of attention. Doesn't matter if his food dish is full or not. And he's attached to me, so he's usually out here in this garage. Come over here. Okay, back to this. Oh, I've thrown plenty of dad jokes. Although that's, well, dad jokes never end, but my son is approaching 18. So 69, Charlie is 14. 14? Yeah. And he's not done with the attention. He's staring at me like, "Are you done?" Jake, I went with the fixed mount on the gantry in the rear. Let's go back to their instructions here. So back to configuring. Let's scroll down. Oop, I want to go back. I want to make sure I'm capturing everything. Because remember, this is only the second time I've installed this, so let's make sure I haven't missed something. Clipper configuration. So it uses this, the probe connected to that. Also make sure, default, where was that? Clipper, need to add a macro. Let's see if we can. He was, right before I changed that angle, pawing at my leg. Pay attention to me. Yes. Okay. Okay, this is what I was looking for. The offsets in the probe section. So the Z 6.42, X should be 0. Yeah. And Y is 19.75. So let's go to our, is that, I think I have that in my controller config. Probe 19.75, is that what I said? And they put 6.42 for Z. Yeah, Sanity, I even mentioned early in the stream that it's a little chilly in here. But it's Sunday. This is about all I have left that's clean. I gotta do laundry after this. Okay. So that, oh, and I don't remember who was it that was saying, who was it about the pull up? It is being pulled up. The probe pin is being pulled up already. Okay, so let's save and close that. Let's go to our printer config and make sure that our Z height on Z tilt is horizontal Z move. It needs to be higher than 10, so they recommend 15 or 20, I think. We're just going to set it to 20 right now. And then we have to establish a bed mesh. Even though I don't use a mesh on this printer to print, you have to have a bed mesh section in your config. So I'm just going to, is this the minimum config that it needs? I'm going to put this right above my Z tilt. And we're going to do the same 20 mil. It doesn't need to be that high, but let's save and restart and see if it loads. Existing commands. Oh, okay. So here's the difference. This is what I missed. So this is the difference between the V1.8 config and a Trident, is we don't use screws tilt calculate. So we need to go into here, into the Clicky probe for Trident config, and all the way at the bottom, there is this screws tilt adjust. We can just delete this whole section. And that will take care of that. And save and restart. Now, I think we can try it. And I think it'll work for basic Z-tilt. So let me just get a view here. And let's home. Well, that's weird. Okay. Now we should do it. I'm going to have my finger on the cancel button. Z-tilt should go and grab the dock. Then go. Yep. And it's going to do our Z-tilt with the probe. And it puts the dock away, or puts the probe away in the dock. Then it does one more Z-home. Okay, so that is all you need to do to set up. So I'm not finished, but that's all you need to do to set up Klicky to be functional. It's going to dock, it's going to undock. Those macros that they have in place are really handy, really configurable. You set your position of that dock, enter it into the configuration, and it works. You just saw we did a Z-tilt. It would do the same procedure if we did a bed mesh, but I don't have a mesh set up on this printer because I haven't needed it. Now, the other part of this is the automatic Z calibration, which is really neat. And let's look at the documentation for that. But this is the thing that I wasn't 100% clear on. And there's some stuff, maybe someone can help me understand a couple of points on it. Let me put a few of these tools away. Let's go back to the page. And if you go to the, let's go home. If we go to the Clipper macros and go to the Z Calibration Config, we're going to grab this, but in this beginning of this, update these variables according to the documentation here. So let's go to this page. And this has a good explanation on. So this is a Clipper plugin for self-calibrating Z-Offset. So what it does, if we scroll down here, it says why this. So this calculates for you this Z end stop offset by measuring the probe offset, and then it also, so it triggers the nozzle on your Z end stop pin, but it also triggers the body of your micro switch on the Z end stop pin, and then does a bunch of math and sets your offset. Drawback, the only downside is that the trigger point of the mag probe cannot be probed directly. This is why the body of the switch is clicked on the end stop. The small offset between the body of the switch and the trigger point can be taken from a data sheet of the switch and is hardly ever influenced in any way. So the thing that you can't account for is this switch offset between its trigger point and where the body is triggering. Now the thing that was confusing me is if you go down here and look at not how to configure it, but how to use it. Not how to test it. Down here. If you still need to adjust the offset from your slicer's start G-code, then add this to your print. So you have to go in and change your config every time you want to make a small adjustment in Z? Like baby stepping. Does baby stepping still work after this? That's what I couldn't quite wrap my head around. But what we'll do right now is we'll get it set up. We'll make it work. We'll go through the Calibrate Z process. And I think I probably still need a little bit of time to figure that out. Figure out the practical use of it. So, to set this up, it requires a modification to Moonraker. They have, in the latest versions here, sorry, I'm going to scroll down here to the install, how to configure it. So, as a precondition, the probe needs to be configured properly. We have the probe configured properly. I need to change mine. Mine is set right now to just take single sample for a quick setup, but they recommend to do more than one sample and use median as a probe sample's result. And then all of our offsets are set. So now there's a configuration which we'll get from the Clicky probe page. So the Moonraker update here. So with the new versions here, you can add this as an update manager in Moonraker. So we're going to copy this here. And we're going to paste that into the Moonraker config. Down here to another update manager section. Right, board and writer, you say that you can still use baby stepping, that's cool, but is there, like, I can save whatever my results of baby stepping were from the last print. So when I'm configuring for a new filament or something, I can baby step and then apply that to the Z-Offset, and then I'm good for further prints. This doesn't save to the same thing. You have to actually go in there then and take that result, and if you don't want to have to baby step every time you use that filament, you have to change that other offset value, right? Yeah, you would change the button. I need to play with it. And I just didn't have time to play with it for in time for this stream. Maybe I'll follow up once I understand it. But we'll set it up. Because there were a couple of gotchas that I ran into in setting this up. I never changed the Z-Offset in the slicer. Maybe that's something I need to look at. Okay, so we're going to copy and save that item into Moonraker config. Oop, we're going over here. And then we are going to open an SSH session and run this command to grab the files from this repository. So I am going to, oh boy. I'm going to log in real quick and then I'll move the screen over here. What did I do wrong? Is the printer not communicating? SSH isn't working. Oh, because I'm spelling things wrong. That's why. Okay, somehow this all changed because I had changed my font here. I had changed all this to be much larger for you guys. Is that reasonable? Let's go a little bigger. There we go. There's a new repository for Moonraker now? Or for Mainsail? Okay, I'll check that later. I don't want to clog up this stream. So we're going to run this command from... For this you need to clone this repository in your home directory. This script assumes that Clipper is also in your home directory. So I'm going to copy that, and we're in our home directory because this is our Clipper and everything. And then we're going to paste that command and clone it. I'm starting to get hungry. So that's done. But these instructions aren't really clear that you do anything else. But what I found is you need to run this install script after you do this. And then restart, not firmware restart, but do a full restart. So, oops, I want to go back here. And I want to run this install command. And this will... Oh, and it restarts Clipper. Now we should be able to use the... Oh no, we got to copy that config in. So let's go back to the original, this Z Calibration. Did I save that? I don't think I did. So let's save this. Oh, I did save it. Okay. Oh, and I even uploaded it. Okay. Let's go here. And we have to set a few things here, right? So we need to set our probe nozzle, your Z end stop X, which was what, 146? And actually what I'd rather do there, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to, this mouse, I don't like this mouse. 146, and then throw a comment on the end there. And then the probe nozzle Y was 256. Comment the rest of that. The X and Y coordinates for clicking the nozzle on the Z end stop. So I had a problem with my other printer in that these recommended values weren't correct. So we're going to set this. So the X and Y coordinates in millimeters for clicking the nozzle on the Z end stop. That's that. Where's the other ones here? This is probe switch X should be minus 5 millimeters from the probe nozzle X. Okay, so this is, so to probe the switch, oops, I didn't want that, I wanted the one above it. They're saying that it's going to be 5 millimeters minus, but we're going to check that, but we'll just put this here for now. And then probe Y, and I think it was more like minus 20 millimeters. On mine. And we're not going to leave these. I'm going to fix that in a bit. But then the middle of the bed is what this is. For this is the relative reference index of bed mesh, which I don't use a mesh. So middle of the bed Y, I think on this is 120-ish. Maybe 115. And in X, let's comment the rest of that, is going to be 125-ish. And then what you're saying here, DC and the other folks in the build, this switch offset is what I change then when I want to adjust that. This switch offset right here. Okay, so let's save and close this. I don't want to... Could not be uploaded. Why? Why couldn't that be uploaded? Why? Okay, let's do something so I don't have to redo all of that. Let's just go down to here. Let's copy that. Let's close this. Let's just delete this file. Upload Z Calibration. Where did I leave off on that? Let's paste that. This is the probe Y. There we go. There. Save and close. There we go. Okay. I had selected 2 files to upload at once, and I wonder if that's a bug. Because remember when I first uploaded this, I uploaded the Clicky probe and the Z Calibration in the same dialog. Okay, let's go back here. Let's home all. And then I am going to move to that. I had set the probe, the switch at 141,236, just as a guess. Let's go G0X 141 Y 236. And then I'm going to actually just put the... I'm just going to put it in place and see how well that lines up visually. So if I look at... Let's see if we can get this. It's close, but I'm a little too far back still. I need to come back to like 235 or 234 to center that switch on the Z and stuff. You see that? Yeah, we're looking. Oop. Let's see if I can do like right there. So let's go -1 on that here. Let's see if we get a... That's probably too far. So I think right there is probably a good spot. And then I'm going to look at it from the front and make sure we can probably go +1 on X and be about perfect. So I think right there is where I'm going to set my coordinates for probing against the switch body. And that would be 142,235. So if we go to our Z calibrate, and the switch body would be 142,235. So I was really close on my guess based on what I did on the other printer. So I think we can try that now. Oop, I want to take the probe off. put it back on its dock. And now, let's home it. Well, that's interesting. I want to change something because my my homing location for in Y is on the edge of the very edge of that end stop. Where's my flashlight? I think X is good, but Y was off. I'm going to go back to machine, and go to printer config, and instead of 256, I want this to be 254. So now we're going to home all. Did that didn't change. You saw me do a restart, right? Oh, does the other thing overwrite? Does this overwrite it? Do I have to change it here? I think that overwrote the main config. That's interesting to know. Let's try this again. Let's see where it's going to try to home. No. Is this where it's? This one is overriding it. That's really kind of annoying. Okay. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. And then we will do a Z tilt. Okay, so adding that, just gonna finish that. So this adds a Calibrate Z function, and I should be able to just run that command, and it'll go through the motions of probing the switch body and the probe. So this adds a new command, Calibrate Z, and I'm going to, let's see if we can get a decent view of this. What did it not work? Unknown command. I ran the install script. Did I forget to I need to include the... Did I not include the config? Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, that's what I missed. Sorry about that. Oops. Oh, that one. If we go here, I want Z Calibration.config added to my setup. Include Z Calibration.cfg. Save and restart. Let's go through all the homing and everything again. So while we're waiting for this, what's the next thing I should do on here? Not necessarily on here, but on the stream. Any suggestions on... Because I'm not quite sure where to go next. Because I could work on my original switch wire. I don't know exactly when the V2 kit will get here. But that'll be... definitely as soon as it gets here, everything else will get held up. Will get pushed aside anyway. ERCF is a big one. I need to order some parts though, because I have a 1.0 kit, and I need to order all the parts to... I have a 4 position kit. I need to order all the parts to make it a 1.1. And then I got to decide exactly which printer to put it on. That's going to be a big project. Okay, that's done. Now we can run the Calibrate Z command, I think. And unfortunately, this wasn't given us much of a view here. Let's... Oh. Maybe we can get a little bit of a... Maybe we can see what it's going to do. It's going to trigger on that, then it's going to grab the probe, and it's going to trigger on the switch body. I don't know if you can tell that it's doing that. Boop. And then it's going to probe in the middle of the bed where I told it to. And then it's done. So, oh, sorry about that. That was a little disjointed because I missed a couple of things. But that is the setup for Z Calibrate. And then you set that in your print start macro, but then don't home after that. Otherwise it resets it. So what do we got? Nevermore, ERCF, titanium backers, LED backlighting, and those Z logo inserts in the skirts. Nevermore is a good choice. I'll have to look at that a little closer. The concern I have with the Nevermore is finding the right activated carbon stuff that won't corrode the printer. Some of my CAD workflow, that'd be interesting. You know, one thing that I'd like to figure out, I've tried to do it on this stream, is there's so many questions about, do you have a config for this board, or can I get a config for this board? And just kind of guiding how to use pages like this from like the Octopus, how to use these pin identifiers to use any example config with any board. Just knowing where you have stuff plugged in and what values to put in. I think it's something that could be useful. Zerwi. I will end up with a 300 millimeter build LDO kit to build and evaluate and give suggestions on for the final thing. Jesper, it's very possible. It's very possible. Clicky with it. DC existing 2.4 MGN12 conversion and backers. So at some point, I mean, everybody knows that a minor revision, so let me just emphasize, minor revision to V2. 2.4 is in a great place. It is a easy, it is an easy to build. There's not a lot of overcomplication. It's in a good spot. There are minor revisions coming that I've been working on, and that included in that, as everybody should know, is MGN12X setup. So all of that can be done on this, and that's a great future content. J.R. Cromwell, congratulations on finishing your Trident. Nozzle brush mod. I've always wanted to set that up, but I just haven't gotten to it. That could be included in something for sure. Justin 3D. I'm not sure that the Octopus Pro has the same pins. I don't know even that it uses the same processor. I just don't know. I don't have a Pro. I just have the regular Octopus is in this printer, and that's why I have it on the screen so I can quickly reference it. I don't have anything set up. How could I do it? I apologize. I really do need to set this whole computer system up to be able to slice and run a print. We can run a print. I'm not going to use this cool Calibrate Z thing right now, but let's get a print going. So at least we've got something. I've got something pre-sliced I need to print some more of anyway. I gotta pick a color. What color can we do? Let's do a bright neon green. I think the profile is going to be close enough. So let's get a print going. That's a good idea. .69 Pendolo. I'm not quite sure when that's going to be finished. There's supposed to be some manual updates. The V2.4 manual is one of the oldest ones. I think it's the oldest one out there. So there's been a lot of improvements in the way things are set up. since. So we'll want to include all those updates when the rest of it is done. So, and that all takes time. Let me get this thing preheating. Sanity, of course I know. You can't be serious. There is. So if you take the pages from the Trident manual, it's the exact same process. So if you want to install an MGN12 setup on your V2, then grab the Trident manual and go to that area of the manual, and the XY joints through the whole X setup is identical. The rear stepper mounts and the front idlers are different, but the whole center part is identical. So Zenbender, if you're going from the dual MGN9 setup on a V2.4 to MGN12, you want to print the XY joints, the X carriage frame, and then depending on whether you want to use button head screws to mount the frame to the MGN12 cartridge or socket head screws, you may have to either modify your afterburner motor plate, it's motorplate.stl, or print a new one. It's okay, Sanity. It's only 6 days. Only 6 more days. So I'm preheating this. Let's preheat the hot end to load the filament. Yeah, flat potato. It's much more consistent to get a good MGN12 rail without any play. So I can grab the afterburner and kind of gently shake it or twist it forward and back, and there's no detectable play. What is it? I do have an MGN12 rail I bought off Amazon that's generic that I tried to use on my 320 build here, but it had play, so I ended up replacing it with an LDO one, and now it's good. Yeah, Mike G. I think many people notice that. They're just handy to have around. Those old hard drive magnets. Okay, that hot end is preheated, so I'm just going to do my little... Oh, here, let's do this. Let's turn the LEDs on from the last stream. And we are going to load filament. I think that's loading. Yeah. And let's extrude a little more. I had purple in there before, so that'll be a nice... Nice transition from the purple to the neon green. Excuse me. Well, I think the larger rails are just easier to manufacture. Let this preheat for a little bit. These are, what I have right here are just white LEDs, just for illuminating the chamber. RGB would be cool. Just takes another different LEDs and a little bit of control. Wire it up for control. Yeah, I looked right at them. They're pretty bright. Give me a second, I'm gonna get more drink. Okay. Hey, Super Smash. Are you just now getting here? That's why I need a nozzle brush. So I don't feel like I have to go in there and get the little ooze. $77 people here right now at the end of the stream, or near. We'll probably go for another, maybe up to, depends on how this print goes. Super Smash, congrats. Nice even number serial number. Something I set up on the purple Trident that I'm playing with, I had a lot of trouble setting it up, so I'm not ready to try to do it on a stream. But I set up the frame compensation stuff. I don't know if any of you have tried that, but it seems to be working pretty well with allowing me to have a consistent first layer across a wide range of how long heat soak times, because that seems to be the biggest variable in when I'm printing. Is if I tend to keep my my preheats to about 20 minutes, and as long as I'm consistent there, then my first layers are pretty consistent. But that frame temperature compensation setup seems to be working pretty well on that one. I just had a lot of trouble setting it up and getting it running, because it's really meant for a V2. Board and Writer, I didn't add the Z Calibrate on this. I've got some pre-done G-code. I'm just going to get a print started. I am going to take what you've mentioned, and DC and a few others in here have mentioned, and make sure I understand it and I'm comfortable with it. Unfortunately, I still don't have this computer set up to really slice stuff for the printers. I'll get that going. I just haven't taken the time to do it. just in 3D, when you post your video to Reddit, you can count how many other active submissions there are, and then look at what the most recent issued serial number is, and figure out approximately where you're going to end up from there. There's always going to be maybe someone didn't qualify, maybe their wires aren't managed, maybe they don't have deck plate installed, that kind of thing, that might affect the exact serial number you get. Jarrett, this is just a regular Prusa textured surface. I have one of the satin plates, but this is just a regular textured one. I'm going to go ahead and get this started. One of the things that I need to do that I don't right now, a lot of my print start is kind of a manual process because I have some control over it. So I home, then I do a Z-tilt, and then I just start to print. And all my G-code, the slicer settings are set up to just, all it does is home, move to the purge line, run a purge line, and start the print. It doesn't do any of the Z-tilt in my start G-code. I do all that ahead of time. But that's mostly a function of having several of each type of printer and wanting to use as few profiles as possible. But I know there's better ways to do it. Aster, it is safety concerns. We're dealing with printers that are mostly held together with printed parts, and we just don't want to deal with the safety aspects of Joe Blow, Jane, whatever out there putting together something and not being safe. I don't know if it's forbidden in 3D printing communities in general. It's just that really this isn't the design that you would want to do that in. If you're wanting to hit higher temperatures in a Voron, you pretty much have to redesign the whole thing for it to be safe and proper. I am going to start this print. Hey Josh, the right top corner on my 300mm Trident is high for some reason. Everything is square and straight. Any ideas? I think you posted about that in Discord, right? I think some of the suggestions were making sure that your Y extrusions are the exact same distance to each other. Is the first place I would start. But in terms of heated chambers, how hot do you want to get it? You can get to 70°C with insulation. Anything above that, then you're going to look your printed parts, your belts, your steppers. Andy ADD, I'm not quite sure I'm following. So with the way that Trident is built, you won't be able to print ABS then? I'm printing with ABS right now. I'm not quite sure what the comment is. Old Balon. This is a Waveshare 4.3 inch DSI connected touchscreen. It's connected to the Raspberry Pi with their DSI cable and then running Clipper screen. You can't be serious. That's true. Theoretically, or more than theoretically, a Trident should be more temperature efficient because your heat source is higher up in the chamber, heat rises. Board and writer, I did not use the Z Calibrate command because it's not set up in my start G-code homes, so it would override it. I will be doing that though. I mean, you guys have given me enough information. I'm going to get comfortable with it, and I'll cover it on the next print we do on here. I'm not nearly close enough to the bed on this print either, so. Okay, Andy, thanks. Extensor, yeah, last stream I installed the Mandela bed mounts. Last Sunday. I do want to try it. I just got a little tripped up in the how to adjust it. So yeah, like I said, you guys have given me a lot of info. I'll get it set up. Maybe we can do that. That might be a good topic for next weekend, because with the holiday, the American holiday coming up this week, Thanksgiving, I won't have as much time to prep for next weekend. So maybe I can sneak in some time playing with that, and we can just do a kind of a print and chat hangout for the next stream. So, Sanity, I'm printing. So, for my work, we just got a new building, and all the cubicles and furniture and stuff is different than the old building. And the cubicles are a little wider than the old one. So, all the things that people used to hang off their cubicle walls no longer fit. So I modeled up a, this, you get a view of it. This is a coat hanger that clips on top of the cubicle wall for folks. So I've been printing a bunch of these just to give away at work. I'm far too high off the bed on the first layer for this to actually be successful. I think everything that Borden Ryder and DC have said, I need to take to heart and give it a shot on this the Calibrate Z function. So, I mean the one there on the right is, oh, they've both lifted, so I'm gonna have to cancel this print actually. We'll probably call the stream in just a few minutes though. So yeah, I'm gonna cancel this print. It's come loose, and that's because for my Z-Offset I had before, I didn't let it pre-soak nearly as long as I normally would. So, but oh, Josh, that's interesting, because that almost the exact same question just came up, I think, today in the Trident channel on the one corner of their mesh being way off. So, I'm glad you brought it up then. So, if you're here next week, let me know how it goes, how it went when you try to fix it. Yeah, so the our old building had cubicle walls at the 5.5-ish feet height. The new ones are 4 feet, so it's nearly open. My group doesn't work in our new building, but all of our customers do. And when you're working there, you're looking around. You can see other people's screens. You're looking at other people talking. I'm not a fan. Jasper, I manage a service and support group, IT, for one of the state of California departments. Yeah, these weren't nearly close enough. But yeah, it just goes like this and hooks on the cubicle wall and gives a spot for the coat. So we'll just finish off a few minutes of chatting if you guys have any more questions or anything. Then we'll call it a weekend. 69 Pandolo, do you think there's a solution that prevents the PTFE tube from scraping the top panel? Not really. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, really, more room would be the only real solution. You're welcome, Justin 3D. It's high enough to fit the 5-inch. I think a 5-inch would fit. I do have... I bought the Big Tree Tech 4.3-inch version of this same thing. Because I want to put this on the purple Trident. But it's going to take some tweaks to the mount. So, we'll try that. See you, Jim. You're welcome, Chris. I'm glad this was useful. I did order a Euclid probe, so I plan on installing that in another printer, maybe the Green V2. So just so I can compare. This is just the very first one. It seems to be one of the more popular ones on Discord that folks are installing, so I wanted to give it a try. The Euclid parts will be here probably within a week or two, and I'll have to solder that one up and do a full assembly and get it set up. But it should use a lot of the very similar macros and stuff. See ya, DC. Thanks for being here. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. The Trident mount is just Felipe. Yeah, it's a spherical bearing that we use in the 3 corners. I've said this before. The whole goal of Trident was an easy upgrade path from version 1.8, ease of assembly, ease of part sourcing, and cost, of course. So based on there not being any practical applications of a bed that can articulate an extreme amount, we chose to go with this solution because your printer is going to spend 99.9% of its time in a trammed level state. This allows for several millimeters of articulation. If you did the math between these points, I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's your fraction of a millimeter over a 5 millimeter change in one of these corners. That is more than able to be taken up by just flexing the system without affecting anything. Oh yeah, 69 Black Friday is coming up. I need to see what kind of camera specials there might be. I got the go ahead to find a camera. So Sven, I think I just left all my settings at, I think 40% is what I just have all my profiles at for infill percent for these parts. Sanity, the other printers, so I have 2 levels of printers here. So Legacy's right here right now. The LDO kit switch wire is here. My original switch wire is there. I have 2 V0s next to it, and then the Prusa Mark III all on this bottom shelf. And then I have the green V2, the purple Trident, the red V0 is sitting on the build plate of the black V2, and then this one. Thanks, Berserker Dirk. Have a good one. Yeah, Niraku, we got to get together sometime. One day we just need to get together to hang out instead of to swap parts or whatever. Niraku is is local to where I'm at. So just... Dave, yeah, I need to set up a nozzle brush. That's one of my intentions, was to get a Trident mount done. I just haven't gotten to it. Yep, so I think we'll call it there. Thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate everybody showing up. I hope it was useful. I learned something today. Hopefully you did as well. Everybody who celebrates it, have a happy Thanksgiving. Otherwise, have a great week. We'll see you next weekend. Probably... I'm not quite sure what next weekend stream will be. I'll include some of the Z Calibrate stuff that I'm learning and will learn. And go from there. Sanity, RCF is a few hours away. Niraku is about 20 minutes away from me. Zenbender, yeah, I'm a printer hoarder. I admit it. So, thanks again. We will see you guys next time. Have a good one.